Hey guys, welcome into the Stinking Truth Podcast alongside Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth. So good to have you guys with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, download. I don't know what you do with this. Technology baffles me. But bottom line is thank you so much for being a part of the Stinking Truth Podcast.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
You know, I always tell people that we all should be able to go through life, at least for one day, with the almost blissful childlike ignorance that you enjoy.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not a smart man, so I just
you're just very comfortable in your own skin,
right. Just kind of roll around.
And I think that was on display this week. You were in Seattle, and you can give us all the background as to why. But you were in Seattle for a couple days this week, in which you basically just kind of owned the place.
I don't. I got invited, so
let's just say you made yourself at home.
Okay, well, I like when you're invited as a house guest. Right?
Right.
You're allowed to kick your feet up on the coffee table.
They say make yourself at home.
That's right. and I did. So I got invited to the Seahawks to practice for a couple of days, and I'm going to call their third preseason game. So, they rolled out the red carpet. They just made it so easy for me with flights and rental cars and the whole 9 yards, and it put me up at the team hotel, where they're doing training camp at, and it was incredible. So I got access to practices, access to, I'm on the field. Like, I'm walking behind the players, like, hey, what's this play? That type of thing. Got access. They did a phenomenal job. And I'll tell you what, that's a football team. I do believe that Geno Smith, that year last year that he had was not an outlier. Like you can see that he's got command. You can see how well he spins the ball. They have got a legitimate football team. There are some deficiencies you would look at, like depth on the defensive line would be a question mark for me. But what they've been able to do, the way they've parlayed their picks into guys, had 7 rookies last year that contributed. Reek Woolen went to the Pro Bowl at cornerback. Both their starting tackles, Cross and Lucas, are outstanding. Lucas Abraham, I think is his name. Is it Abraham Lucas? 2 first names.
You have a few more weeks to get him down before they call the game.
2 first names thing, and he's from Washington State. I don't trust you. 2 first names, Washington State. I got my eye on you. Although it is the Pac-2 now, which is a little bit frightening.
Yeah,
but
they have their own issues right now.
So I roll in there, and I'm like, kind of hanging around. I went through the walkthrough. I watched the walkthrough. I'm in the indoor facility. Watched the walkthrough. It's the pace is great. It's moving around, and so then I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? Like, there's time, and so they take me up to the cafeteria for lunch where all the players and the coaches eat. Right. It's that sanctuary area. They invite me in there to be part of their sanctuary. So I'm housing food. The food is delicious. It's great. And so then I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? I'm like, I wonder if I can get a lift in because I brought sweat. So I'm like, yeah, Mondays I lift. Well, that's what I do. So, speaking of childlike simplicity, I was like, Mondays I lift. Where am I going to lift? I'm going down the weight room. So I rolled down to the weight room. Their strength coach, Ivan Lewis, is an Idaho guy, a Vandal. So I'm like, hey, Vandals, woo! Hey, can I get a lift? Yeah, come on in. Our place is your place. So I'm in there lifting, and I am ridiculously yoked.
You're full show pony mode.
Total show pony mode, and I am going to full body work, and I'm squats, trap bar deadlifts, extensions, hammy curls. Then I'm getting into the bench, and I'm just going to time. I've got a circuit. I bench, arms, pull downs, bench, arms, pull downs, and I'm just like the weight that I'm using. I think I had a couple guys that were in there that were players that left because they were embarrassed.
Intimidated.
So then Pete Carroll walks in.
Offensive linemen were probably in there going, who's this guy that they just signed?
Who's this old man we just signed? He's better than me. So I'm in there, and Pete Carroll comes in, and so we kind of make eye contact, and I go, hey, Pete. And he goes, Mark. He goes, what are you doing in here? I'm getting a lift in. Mondays I lift. Right? Did I not make that painfully obvious to you guys? Mondays I lift.
Yes, this is my house.
Yeah. So he's like, he goes, you're freaking huge. And so, yeah, we had a nice conversation. Between sets. No, I actually took 15 minutes off to talk to Pete.
Wow.
Yeah. But they couldn't have been any nicer. And I'm telling you what, Mike, that's going to be a waiver wire team come the end of this, end of preseason, where you would be a fool not to look at who they have to cut, because they've got some starting players that they're going to have to cut that aren't going to make their team, that will make other people's teams. So that roster, what they've been able to do, John Schneider. So last year, 7 guys, both starting tackles, rookies last year. Starting cornerback, rookie last year. Starting slot guy, rookie last year. They're all starting. Like, they had starting running back last year that ran for 1,000+ yards, 1,050 yards in Kenneth Walker. The only other running back ever to make a 1,000-yard rushing season in his debut as a rookie is Kurt Warner. Not that Kurt Warner, that Kurt Warner.
Kurt with a C.
Right. So anyhow, they did a phenomenal job of bolstering their roster. And now this year, it looks like they've got another, thanks to the Broncos. You guys are welcome. Seattle, you're welcome. You fleeced us. You told us a lie. You sold us a bill of goods. And you owe us all a handwritten apology to the Broncos. Dear Broncos country, we got you. We're sorry.
Sorry.
Seahawks.
But we got you.
Yeah, we got you. So anyhow,
what is it? What's the secret sauce there? Because you were around a program. Let's face it, a program that has been one of the most successful and consistent in the entire NFL. So what's the secret?
The secret is, honestly, Mike, and I travel. Now, this was training camp, so it's a little bit different, but I travel around. I travel around the league. Every Friday I'm in somebody's facility, right? I'm watching the way things get done. The energy and the tempo, the culture that Pete Carroll has created is real. 71 years old. I don't know if there's anybody that runs around more than him, that's more excited than him, that creates an atmosphere of energy better than he does with that football team. And it's real. I was probably a critic, like I think most people were critics when he came from USC, thinking, oh, come on, these the collegiate coaches get into the NFL.
Although he had been in the
started
NFL before,
in the NFL.
right,
and he had some success when he was with New England.
Yep.
But what he has established, and it's, he's a pretty simple dude. Like, from the standpoint of, we need to run the ball. We need to take pressure off our quarterback, right? We can't have him on the high dive the entirety of the game. So we've got to take pressure off of him. We've got to run the ball. We've got to out physical people, and we got to play, good run defense. And it's a pretty simple formula that he adheres to, and his players buy into. The level of competition and the level of competition and energy. So I was there on Monday and Tuesday. Monday was a competition Wednesday. It was like what they would do in the regular season, a competition Wednesday. And they went to town, team versus team, ones versus two, and all that kind of stuff, right? And ones versus ones in certain drills. I mean, it was big time. And they have actually, I've never seen this anywhere. They actually have a guy, Andy Doyle. Yeah, Dooley. Andy Dooley. I think it's Andy Dooley. Yeah, sorry, Andy Dooley. Great guy. He basically moderates practice. So they're like, hey, it's third down drill, third down, ones versus ones.
This is for the whole crowd there. He's on like a microphone.
There's a big crowd. He's got a microphone. The music is playing. Third down and 4. Here we go. And, it's a completion, the offense, first down. That's 1 point for the offense. Let's tally it up, right? And you see, like, the defense flying around making hits and guys getting excited. We just got a point, that it's real. And, I walked away from that thinking to myself, at the end of the day, you just put 2 hours of work in that felt like you were out there for 25 minutes. Like, you're flying around, you're hitting each other, there's tension, there's, but it was unbelievably good work, like real work, that felt like it flew by. Like, at the end of the day, you don't even know that you practiced hard.
Right.
That type of thing. And that's the atmosphere. he's created, and then he comes up to me on Tuesday, right? I'm back out there standing on the field. And he goes, hey, Snake, what you think? Huh? Competition Wednesday, what you think? Yeah, he was all excited about it, right? Because it was intense. It was a great practice, and I'm telling you, they have got their back end. Maybe the back end of their defense, maybe the best back end in football. Like, they are so talented.
So you made your way back from Seattle back here to Denver, where Sean Payton, once again, making some national news.
By the way, I did get busted by a Karen coming back Tuesday night.
You met a Karen?
And lived to tell about it.
You mean they're real? I thought they were just like TikTok inventions.
Wow.
Oh, do tell.
Wow. So, I travel so much that I've got all this, elite level status. That and $5 gets you a latte at Starbucks. So, but you do get in the front of some lines and things of that nature, right? So I roll through this line, and they take me through, the security, and they go, just funnel into this line. Now, as well as anybody, man. I talk a good game like on TV and radio, but I'm very courteous.
You're a teddy bear.
Yeah. So I roll into this line, and it funnels me right into the line, and the line's about, it's there, but it's still 4 or 5 deep. So I kind of wait until this family that I got in the line about the same time. I kind of wait. I let them go first, and so this one line kind of breaks into 2 lines, right, to get through the little X-ray machine and stuff. So I kind of wait. They pick their line. I'm waiting for them. And then I pick the other line. So I'm in a little shorter line, and all of a sudden I just hear, "Sir! Sir!" And I'm like, I didn't even know. Like, I was like looking around, like, who's getting yelled at? It was me. I was getting yelled at. She goes, "There's a line here." I was like, yeah, I realize I've been in it. I've just came from here, and they asked me. The security guy took me here and funneled me into this line. "You just can't cut what would you like me to do, man?" "Go to the back of the line." Like that. And I'm like, so I let her go in front of me. She's just fuming, right? I get right behind her. I'm like, all right, you can be in front of me. As long as you get in first, then we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But
because your time is clearly more valuable.
Right. But not, granted, all these, I know what's going on in Seattle right now. All these cruise ships, dock in Seattle, right? And so all these people that just went on the Alaska cruise and all these cruises, right? They docked there, and now they're going back to school wherever they live, right? So, there's just a lot of, the airport was.
So that gives you the right to be rude and inconsiderate to people,
Well, she probably waited a long time in line, and I didn't.
Boo-hoo.
Yeah, because I fly a lot. But by no means did I, cut the line or was I rude or anything of that nature. So anyhow, she gets through security. I get through security. She's still grabbing her bags and tossing things around. And I'm just like, whatever. Whatever. So anyway, I get through. I grab my bag, and no less than 3 people tap me on the shoulder and go, "You handled that exceptionally well. Like, that was really well done. Good on you." And I'm like, "Hey, listen, I wasn't trying to be." They go, "No, we saw you. We came here. You were already standing there. We were in line after you got there. You were waiting like it." But dude, she went.
Wow.
So real life Karen.
I've always respected you, but now I'm in awe of you. You had a real life Karen experience.
I wish it would have been on
encounter and
video.
live to tell about
If
it.
anybody got the video of Karen and I, please, by all means,
Release it.
yes,
All
release
right.
the.
So then you come back to Denver after your encounter and survival of a Karen, and you come back where Sean Payton has once again made some national news by saying what he doesn't want his players to do during the first preseason game. There'll be no tomfoolery. There'll be no shenanigans.
No hijinks.
You will not take your shoulder pads off.
Right.
You will not wear sunglasses. You will not wear a Gilligan bucket hat.
Mm-hmm.
You will not do in-game interviews.
Right.
Some people have said that, hey, come on, Sean, this is an NFL team. These are the pros. This isn't college. Why are you acting so collegially? Others, like yourself, think that maybe this is a good thing?
I do. I mean, hey, listen, they haven't earned anything. They've been awful for the last 7 years. This was a crown jewel as far as a franchise is concerned in the NFL, and they become irrelevant. And I've said this many, many times. I think with bad teams, you become complacent. You become okay with average. You find just enough You do just enough work to get by. And Sean is trying to eliminate that culture of, what do I have to do to get a C? How do I pass this class? And I personally agree. Now, I don't know how much of that is muzzling your quarterback, who every time, has spoken over the years, just says something that's more cringeworthy than the next thing he says, right? I don't know how much of that is, Russell, you haven't played well, and I'm going to make sure it starts with you, but it funnels down to everybody else, that I'm not going to let you do the in-game interview. I'm not going to let – and ultimately I agree with all those things.
Yeah, I don't think this was Russell, though, directed. Because you've always said that you've talked to people in New Orleans after Payton left and that the fear went out of the building. I think this is just him instilling some of that fear into the whole building. Not just Russ.
I don't think there's any question. Like right now, Cortland Sutton, who looked like he was gonna jump on the scene as one of the top receivers in football in 2019. Then he tore his ACL early in 2020, and he has been basically in the witness relocation program since. All of a sudden, he's having a great camp. I don't think it's a coincidence that he's having a great camp and he has a connection with Russ and that he's playing really well right now. I don't think it's a coincidence that all those things are happening after he was trade bait all offseason and early into the preseason. I think all that stuff is, I think that's a wake-up call. And I think those things are intentional by Sean. Like, hey, man, I'll trade you in a heartbeat. Get somebody in here who can do the job. And I think those things are those triggers for players to go, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, gosh, I am tradable. Even though I signed a big contract, they do want to get rid of me. Like I think that's an important, that kind of fear, walking on eggshells, making sure we take care of our responsibilities. I think that's exactly what he's doing. And this is a team that needs that type of tough love, that tough enforcement to get them back to understanding, that they are a public trust and they owe it to the NFL and the Broncos country to be worth a crap.
Speaking of tough love, Eric Bieniemy bringing his own form of tough love from Kansas City to Washington as the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. Ron Rivera came out this week and said maybe his intensity has caught some people off guard.
Right.
And Rivera sharing that he's had players come up to him and say, hey, could you get EB to maybe dial it back a little bit? Rivera walked those comments back. You've got Washington week 1.
Yeah. Excited, man.
Get yourself a storyline.
Right, just another storyline. And, and I think anybody who knows anything about the NFL that follows this league knows that that's how Bieniemy coaches. Like, he is, he's vitriolic, acerbic, gets in your face, will cuss you out. He's coaches old school. Mm-hmm. And that's how we were all coached, like, when I was coming up. I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known what to do if somebody coached me with kindness, right? It just was foreign. It's not the way it worked, and Bieniemy is that way. And I think this is a day and age in this league where guys aren't used to being held accountable, and guys aren't used to getting cussed out, and guys aren't used to that kind of in-your-face type of coaching. And I mean, it doesn't bother me. I think it's great, and I think there's a lot of guys that need to hear it. I think that we live in a generation where everything is so soft and supple, and we got to be kind and da-da-da-da-da. And I think there's a little bit of room for Eric Bieniemys of the world to get after some people. Yeah. So, he's going to have to probably manage that a little bit better than he probably has to this point. But
is that almost like a direct cause and effect to you, that if you see that there were some players in Washington complaining about Bieniemy's style as being maybe a little bit too tough, is that almost like, okay, now I know why you guys have been down for so long?
Yeah.
That there's a direct, that if you find this kind of stuff, that you think is too much, well, then maybe that explains why you guys are just irrelevant.
I laugh because it is a kinder, gentler world, and whatever. I don't agree with it. I think there needs to be some bullying.
Bullying? You mean discipline? I don't want to get you canceled. Okay. Yeah. Mark meant to say he'd like to see more discipline in the world, not bullying. He didn't mean that.
The good kind of bullying.
Oh, okay.
The kind of bullying that calls you out for being the turd that you are and helps you rectify
Honesty.
Yeah. Like some good hard
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, some good hardcore.
Man, I am doing my best to just smooth this over.
I'm not talking about bullying and
in the classic sense.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the good kind of bullying.
Good.
Like, and that,
I'm here for you.
Thank you, thank you. But I think like I laugh because I'm like, none of these players could handle the like. My coach in Denver, Coach Alex Gibbs, was legendary, and that dude would just go off on you.
I think if you have the right kind of players, then you can coach people tough. I think the people the players, the athletes that are made of the right stuff actually welcome that kind of hard coaching.
And I think there's some where you're coaching really hard, but there is that mutual respect for each other to where it's like your buddies, you break balls with your buddies. You just bust balls because it's a sign of, hey man, I care about you. I love you, but I'm not going to let you get away with doing something that stupid, right? So you're going to hear about it. So I think that's part of, well, as a matter of fact, like in Seattle, Dave Wyman, my former teammate here, former Seattle Seahawk, Dave he's done their radio, their games, on radio for 20 years. So he's got essentially no access, and he's doing his radio show from there. And I took it upon myself to just absolutely eviscerate him in public shame. So like he's like, hey man, I'm coming over to do a radio segment. He goes, hey, let me run into the media room and get some waters. I go, oh, media room? I'll just go in the weight room right here. Oh, you're not allowed? Like stuff like that, right? So he comes in. I'm in the their little media center. They got some crappy little food in there, right? They've laid out some crappy media food, which the guys are like, this is garbage. Let me have another plate. The typical media guys, right? They're getting their second plate of this garbage. Hey, what is this meat? Mystery meat? Hey. Oh, it's awful. I'll have one more plate.
If it's free, it's for me.
Right.
Okay.
So Dave is dishing up a plate, and I go, hey, Wyman. I go, what are you doing? So I'm getting something to eat. He go, you should go upstairs to the players' lounge where I ate. It's delicious up there.
You're such a dick.
He's like, up yours. And the whole media room snickers. Like, hee. So anyway, but what really got him is he's got to fly commercial because there's not enough space on the plane, when they fly out to their preseason game. And so full well knowing that Dave has got to go commercial. He goes, how you getting to the game? And I go, the flights were just a nightmare because I'm up in Alaska. When they asked me, and I had plans already up in Alaska to celebrate my dad's 84th birthday, blah, blah, blah. So I'm flying to Seattle from Alaska, and then I'm just jumping on the team charter. And he just see it. I go, as a matter of fact, I just got an email. I said, I just got an email on what meal I wanted. You are. So let me just tell you my philosophy on life, guys. I am a really gracious loser. I'm a dick when it comes to winning. Now, I'm not really flying on the team charter, but I knew that would really get under Dave's skin. So, it was a great couple days.
But when you do fly commercial, how are you flying?
Oh, they are flying me first class. I'm in first class from Alaska to Chicago to Green Bay, and then back to Denver. Yes.
Yes. So suck on that, Dave Wyman.
Up yours, Dave.
Eric Bieniemy leaving Kansas City, leaving Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes voted the #1 football player by his peers in the NFL Network's top 100 player list. That chaps you. I know that chaps you.
Listen, Patrick Mahomes is a unicorn, and I consistently give him, props for how good he is as a football player. There just is no question. The guy's an absolute freak show. But see, I categorize it differently. I understand the importance of the quarterback position, and
Do you really?
I do. It's if we're running a post with an over route, if the safety plays the over route, throw it to the post. If he plays the post, throw it to the over. Throw it where they're not. It's not that hard, right? It really isn't. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
But what is hard?
Playing O-line. So. Now, here's the thing I will tell you though is I take the quarterbacks out of the top 100. They don't play football. They play quarterback. It's just different. It's just different. So, like, I understand how hard the job is, air quotes. I understand how, but come on. Like, the guys like Trent Williams and Aaron Donald and those dudes are the best football players. Micah Parsons. Come on. That dude could lead the league in sacks if he's a rush end, play middle linebacker. Hell, if you wanted to go out and play your nickel, like he could do that, be the nickel guy and cover. Like the guy is a freak show. Freak show. Those are the best football players in football. With the guys who play real football, those are the guys.
So the best player in football right now is?
Oh, gosh.
Because for many years,
I think it's still probably Aaron Donald.
Okay, yeah.
T.J. Watt would like if I put them all together, like Bosa would be up there, T.J. Watt would be up there, and Donald would be up there, Trent Williams would be up there. I would put oh God, why am I skipping on the name? Right tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles. Why am I blanking?
Lane Johnson?
Lane Johnson, thank you very much. Lane Johnson would be up there. He's a great football player. Like I said, Micah Parsons would be in there,
but not quarterbacks.
No, the quarterbacks don't get in my top 10. Like they have their own little category, their own little fun bite. Woo, we're quarterbacks, woohoo! They have their own they've got their own pool. Like they get into the there's the public pool where we all swim in, and then there's the private pool. It's clean. They're serving drinks. Quarterbacks go to the private pool. Yeah. We're playing 500 in the public pool, right? We're jumping off the high dive, making splashes and stuff. The quarterbacks are sipping drinks with umbrellas in them. They're umbrella drink guys.
This is a week where we'll see the preseason games kick off, and you've had a wildly successful NFL career and post career, but are weeks like these where you can kind of think back to when you were a rookie and what kind of feelings are a lot of these players feeling as they get ready to go play in these preseason games? You tell the story that your parents came out for your first ever game because they thought this may be the only time they get to see you play in the NFL.
Yeah. My parents actually flew to Canton, Ohio to watch me play in the Hall of Fame game because they thought that it would be the only game I played in the NFL. That was their thought process.
Well, you were a long shot.
Yeah, let's go see.
Like a lot of these kids.
Right, let's go see him. And there was those moments where you'd have a really good practice and you call home. I'd call my wife and say, hey, man, I think I'm going to make this team. And then there's the next day you get your ass kicked and you're like, there's no way I'm making this team. They're going to cut me. And you're going through these emotions up and down, up and down. And so it's hard. And it does. I always say that from a preseason standpoint, from a team standpoint, scores and all that kind of stuff, they don't count, but they do matter. Like these games matter. And they really matter for a kid like me trying to make a football team, right? Trying to see if I could live out my childhood dream. So, yeah, it's these things, the storylines behind them, what the teams do, how you play. And it does. How you set a tone. I went into every preseason game that I played in, and the whole thought process, this is from Washington on through Denver, the whole thought process was, as an offense, we want to throttle you. Mm-hmm. If it's one drive, if it's two drives, it's touchdown drives, it's scoring drives. Put it together, put 5, 6, 10 plays together, punch it in the end zone, and let you know if we happen to face off during the regular season or during the playoffs, we're going to kick your ass. And so there was this mentality to it, not just getting through it, and not just going through the motions, but establishing your dominance. How a dog comes up and pees on the fire hydrant, lets you know that's my fire hydrant.
Marking that territory.
Yeah, you got to mark your territory, and there was always an urgency on the teams that I played on, an urgency to make sure that you marked your territory.
I just think that it's a time maybe to remember that we think of the NFL, we think of all the glitz and glamour. It's the NFL, but you've got probably over 600 guys. Really, when you think about it, around this entire league, their dreams, their football playing days, their careers could end.
Yeah,
here in the next couple of weeks, and that's on their mind as they get ready to go out and play in these preseason games that a lot of us look at as being shockingly irrelevant. But for a lot of these guys, this is everything.
Yeah.
And they're getting ready to play in these games.
That's why I always said, going into the thing for me was if I didn't make it, it wasn't going to be a lack of effort or a lack of study or a lack of preparation or a lack of putting myself in a position, all those things. It's because it was going to be because I wasn't good. And I think I can live with not being good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I never, the one thing I can say about my career, and this sounds like me patting myself on the back, but I can honestly say this about my career. There is nothing more I could have done. So when it was over, and it's one of the reasons the transition was easy for me, when it was over, there was zero, and I mean zero regrets. I never missed a meeting. I was never late to anything. I never missed a workout. I never didn't prepare. I was always on top of things, everything that I could have done. I wish I would have been injured less, yeah, but I played injured, I played hurt, I played that way. There was at the end of the day when my body just said no more, I can't do this anymore. I was like, all right, it was a good run.
Yeah. And
it never one time looked back.
Well, good luck to all the long shots out there.
Yes, absolutely.
Make the
I'm
most,
rooting for you
make
guys.
the most of that opportunity and go give them hell.
I'm rooting for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, for everybody involved in the Sing Truth podcast, we thank you so much for being a part of it. Thanks for listening, downloading, liking, sharing, whatever it is you do, keep doing it. We appreciate you guys. We'll be back with you next week.